Welcome to our course on Python. We will start by studying the types of variables. A variable is a container to hold data, to be easy to use and modify later in your program. We have several types of data. Integers, which are whole numbers and known in Python int. Floating numbers, which have decimals and known in Python as float. Strings, always between quotations, and are read by Python as they are, given as str, and booleans, which are true and false, and known by Python as bool, bool. We have complex numbers, which have a real part and an imaginary part. The syntax is variable name equals value. Let's have our example. A student with certain scores and an average. So let's have student name equals the value, say Sandy. Sandy is a string and therefore it is given between quotations. This Sandy scored in math, the math score, equals 90, and scored in science, the science score, equals 75. 90 and 75 are integers as they are whole numbers. The average equals math score plus science score divided by 2, as they are only two scores, so the average is the sum divided by 2. This indicates that a variable name in Python can accept a given value directly or is computed by Python by a certain arithmetic equation. Sandy scored high grades, so we can say that student success equals true. True here is a boolean and always in a capital letter. Let's print some of those variable names. So let's print, and print always accepts brackets. Student name. Here Python gives several options, which are the variables created here. So let's have student name and let's have a run. Yes, it prints Sandy. Of course, we can print all other variables. So we can print the math score, and we can also print the science score, and we can print the average, and of course we can print the student success. Let's have a run here. Yes, Sandy is the name, 90 and 75 are the scores, 82.5 is the average. And note that the average is a float or a floating number, and the student success is printed here to be true. And C is a capital letter. We can have a better print here. We can have a better print. So let's print. The moment you press tab, you have those rounded brackets. Between quotations, the Python understands nothing. So you just say the average is, and outside the quotation, we put a comma and print average. Let's have a run here. The average 82.5. Let's have better syntax here. The average is comma average. So whatever is between quotations, Python doesn't understand it. It just gives it as it is. But the variables understood by Python are given without quotations. A comma is used just to concatenate or continue the print order. We can even continue here and say quotations again, and his success. We want to say that he succeeded, so we say and his success is true. Instead of saying true, we just write the variable here, which is student success. Let's have a run. Of course, we have an invalid syntax here. We forgot a comma. We have another comma here. Now notice this red zigzag line given by Python just to guide you. And once we put the comma here, all zigzag colored lines disappear, which means that our syntax is correct. Let's have our final run now. Yes, our syntax is correct. The average is 82.5. The variable average here is applied, and his success is true. The variable student success here, which is true, is applied. Let's have another way to get this output. We will copy it here. If we press Ctrl plus backslash, we change this line into a comment which will never be read by Python. So let's write here the percentage is, instead of the comma, let's have plus to concatenate the required prints. But please note that the plus here cannot concatenate any variable type other than strings. So we will apply here string and brackets here. Now let's check this using our run. The average is 82.5. Now please note that the plus sign here needs a space here or a space here to get the required or the expected output. Let's change this into a comment. Now let's have a better print here. So we print using the F string, which we will deal with in details later. And we open quotations. The student is, and we use a placeholder here to apply the variable student name. And let's have a run here. It gives the student name is Sandy. Whatever is placed between the placeholder here is well known by Python. It goes and searches for student name and finds that the student name has the value of Sandy, and therefore it writes the value directly here. Let's continue and his average, and his average is, and let's have a placeholder or the curled brackets again. Average. Let's have a run. Yes, the student is Sandy and his average is 82. Let's continue, and his success is, and our placeholder here, student success. Choose it by the mouse and press tab. Have you run? The student is Sanji, which is the student's name, and his average is 82.5, the float in average, and his success is through the Boolean in student success. Now let's learn how to check for the type of the variable. Simply print type and open another brackets here and use the variable you want to check. Say student name. Run. It gives that the type is a string. Yes. If we print the type, let's have this as a copy. Paste it here. And instead of student name, let's apply student success. We expect to have a Boolean here. Yes, Boolean. And so on. You can check any type. You can also suggest your type for Python and let Python tell you whether your guess is true or false. You simply use the instance function. So you write print is instance, yes, tab, student name, and you apply another variable here, comma, the other variable, the expectation you have. Say Boolean. And you have your run. Of course, it is false. Why? Because student name is a string. So just add string here and have another run to give you an expected true. And so on. Using is instance requires two variables here. Your variable name and variable type. Let's check now for a complex number. So we have complex n for number equals 3 plus, say, 5j. Let's print the real number or the real part of the number. So let's print complex n dot real. And do the same for the imaginary part. Complex number dot image. Dot image. And let's have our run. So yes, the real part is 3 and the imaginary part is 5 here. This concludes with our types of variables.